The Legend of Death Valley. Whispers on the Deadly Wind. In the land of the American West, in an era when gold was God and hope was religion, the story of brave men and tragedy was etched into the sand and scorching winds. A tale is told of a valley that devours life and echoes with the lament of the hopeless. The Legend of Death Valley. It was in the winter of 1849 that a large caravan of prospectors set out for the gold fields of California. They had traveled a long, arduous journey crossing vast prairies and rugged mountains. But then, a rumor of a dangerous shortcut that could shave weeks off their journey split the group in two. One group chose the safer, longer route. The other, their hearts burning with ambition and greed, called themselves the Lost 49ers and decided to gamble on the unproven path. Jacob Asher, an old man whose face bore the wrinkles of 1,000 journeys, was a leader of this audacious group. He stood on a hill looking at the diverging paths ahead. "Brothers," he announced in a booming voice, "fortune favors the bold. This path will lead us to the gold before anyone else." Among them was William Page, a young man with eyes sparkling with dreams. He had left his home with the promise to return a wealthy man for his family. He gazed at the valley before him, a place that looked vast and terrifying. But Jacob's words reignited his belief and courage. The first week of their journey passed smoothly. However, the deeper they ventured into the unfamiliar land, the more the landscape transformed in a haunting way. Lush green trees vanished, replaced only by stunted shrubs and twisted cacti that looked like gnarled hands reaching up from the ground. The once damp earth cracked into a mosaic of dry patterns, and the sky, once vibrant, turned a pale, washed-out blue, a merciless canvas for the scorching sun. Silence began to descend, a heavy, frightening quiet. There was no bird song, no buzzing insects, only the sound of their footsteps on the sand and their increasingly labored breathing. "Which way now, Jacob?" Ethan asked. His voice trembled as he looked at the boundless emptiness around them. "We must only go forward," Jacob replied firmly, but a flicker of worry was now visible in his eyes. "The map says we'll find water soon." But the map lied, or perhaps it was they who had strayed into a map that didn't exist. The water in their canteens dwindled with every step. What was once a drink to quench their thirst became a mere sip to moisten their cracked lips. The intense heat left everyone exhausted and stumbling like drunks. Then the mirages began to appear. They saw a turquoise lake stretching before them, its shores lined with palm trees swaying in a gentle breeze. They shouted with joy and quickened their weary pace. But as they got closer, the images dissolved, becoming nothing but shimmering heat waves rising from the burning sand. Their hope, which had soared to a peak, plummeted to rock bottom, shattering their morale and spirits. Ethan collapsed to his knees on the sand. He never rose again. His eyes stared blankly at the fiery orange horizon. Mother, I'm so cold," he mumbled faintly, despite the sweat pouring from his body, before his last breath escaped him with the final light of day. The first death had arrived silently, leaving a cold dread to grip the hearts of everyone. That night, amidst the dark, cold expanse of the desert, William heard something. A sound carried on the wind.
It wasn't a howl of a wolf or the whistle of a normal breeze, but an icy whisper that chilled him to the bone. Lost ones, you have trespassed into a forgotten land. William jolted awake. He sat up and looked around, but saw nothing but the dark shapes of his companions huddled under their blankets. Jacob, do you hear that? He woke the old man. It's just the wind, William. Go back to sleep. We need to save our strength. But William knew it wasn't just the wind. The next night, the sound returned. This time, it wasn't a whisper, but the sobs of countless people, a lament of pain and despair. It was as if every grain of sand had absorbed the suffering of every soul who had perished in this place. Despair turned to madness. Aaron, a sturdy man who had once boasted of his strength, now had a vacant look in his eyes. He began to pour the last of his precious water onto the sand and threw away his bag filled with mining tools. Why are you throwing them away? William shouted in protest. Can you see? Aaron screamed back. This gold is cursed. It's what lured us here. I don't want anything but my life. I'm going home. He turned and ran into the darkness, directionless. Aaron tried to call out to him, but his voice was swallowed by the silence. We never saw Aaron again. Day after day, they walked on aimlessly. The number of survivors dwindled. Some fell and never rose again. Some just walked away into the curtain of mirages. Only Jacob and William remained, 2 lives still fighting against their cruel destiny. On the last night they were together, Jacob, once so strong, was visibly weakened. He looked at William with eyes filled with guilt. I led you all to your deaths, William. I'm sorry. Don't say that, Jacob. We made this decision together. You're still young. You must survive. He handed him his last canteen. Drink this and keep going west. Don't stop. Don't look back. That night, the spirit of the valley claimed Jacob's life. William lay listening to the whispers that raged around him. They told the stories of every traveler who had ever died there. Ethan's voice calling for his mother, Aaron's weeping for his family, and Jacob's whispering his apologies over and over. William was on the verge of giving up, but the image of his family waiting for him gave him the strength to stand up one last time. He walked forward as Jacob had instructed, leaving his friend's body behind amidst the wailing of the restless souls. A miracle occurred, or perhaps destiny willed that there be a survivor to tell this tale. A near-dead William was found by another group of explorers who had taken the long way around. When he regained consciousness, the first words he uttered to his rescuers were, "Don't go in there. It's the Valley of Death." After his body and spirit had recovered, William led a group back to the path he had come from to search for the bodies of his friends. But they found no trace, as if the sand had swallowed everything whole. He stood at the entrance to the valley once more, looking back at the land that had taken everything from him. Under the morning sun, the valley that had been hell on earth now looked strangely beautiful and serene, like a devil in the guise of an angel. He whispered to the wind that brushed by his face, "Goodbye, Death Valley." And so the name has been passed down to this day, becoming a legend about a place where dreams and death converge, a place where human greed is paid for with life. And they say that if anyone enters this valley on the quietest of days, they can still hear the whispers on the deadly wind, the lament of the lost 49ers who still wander that valley forever.